Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football. We've got your must-add waivers for Week 15. It is fantasy playoff time, so these players that I'm mentioning either are available 30% or above, and of course, I believe have some really good playoff schedules the rest of the way to help you guys get your championship this week. Now, we're going to start off with the quarterback position. We've got Brock Purdy versus the Seahawks. He's available in 90% of most leagues. All right, I have to give Mr. Irrelevant some credit here. I owe him an apology. I didn't mention him in my last waiver wire video due to uncertainty. And a lot of it had to do with being redraft. I mean, if you're in a 2 QB league or a dynasty league, maybe you grabbed him. Maybe you felt like he was someone you had to put in your lineup. And it probably paid off for you, right? He did really, really good against the Buccaneers. He right now, again, is in an offense where Shanahan made sure this offense was quick passes, not a lot of thinking, just let the playmakers do their job and let Purdy be successful in it. And they did a really phenomenal job. They kept McCaffrey running the ball. They kept short passes. Debo looked good. Ayuk looked good. And of course, Debo being hurt does scare me a little bit for Purdy this week and beyond. But again, going against the Seahawks defense that does struggle against the pass and run, this is a game that's pretty big for the 49ers and Seahawks, especially for the Seahawks. But I like Purdy. Again, I'm not saying he's going to be in my start and sit video, but he's a nice little waiver wire. Again, available in 90% of most leagues. Now, my other quarterback I want to mention is Jared Goff versus the Jets. He's available in 32% of most leagues. He's probably gone in yours, but he might be available. There's just no love given to Goff at all this season. Right now, he's QB9 in the last 4 weeks so far. He's phenomenal. This Lions offense looks really good no matter what the defense is. They do have a tough matchup against the Jets, so again, be considerate of that. But realistically, this Lions offense looks good. You've got healthy players. Chark came back. Jameson Williamson came back. You've got Swift, who's healthy. I mean, this offense is as, I would say, potent as any offense out there. And Goff just does not get the credit. And he looks really good. Again, QB9 in the last 4 weeks. I'm taking that. He's definitely somebody I might want to consider. Another quarterback you may want to consider adding to your roster is Daniel Jones versus the Commanders. He's available in 45% of most leagues. Now, as a Cowboys fan, it hurts to really say it, but Danny Dimes gets no love in fantasy at all. He's QB4 in the last 4 weeks. He looks really good. Again, his rushing ability has been phenomenal, and he's got a really good playoff schedule. He's got the Vikings and Indy coming up. Obviously, Washington, where he put up 17 points a couple weeks ago. He just had 19 points this past weekend. So he's in that 17 to 19 point range, which is really good. I'm looking to scoop him up in a few of my leagues when he's available. He's definitely going to be somebody that will add value, especially for the next few weeks. Again, playoff schedule is what really matters. It's not always just the matchups, but these guys will matter for you guys. Another position I want to talk about is going to be running back. Now, running back, I've got Jerick McKinnon versus the Texans. He's available in 38% of most leagues. McKinnon has become a great weapon for the Kansas City Chiefs. Mostly uses a pass-catching running back, which is, again, in PPR, it's all that matters. And he just had one of the best performances, period, in his career and also this season. He had just had 32 points. He had 7 receptions, 112 yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. On top of that, his matchup is Houston, Seattle. Both of those teams are the worst against the running back. Now, Pacheco is obviously going to look really good this next couple of weeks, but again, I like McKinnon. This offense utilizes both running backs really well. So again, don't be afraid to grab him. He's one of those guys you might want to pick up. J.K. Dobbins, if he's available in 31% of most leagues. He's going against the Browns this weekend. Dobbins just had his first game back from IR, and he put up 18 points with 120 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Didn't get any receiving action, and a lot of it obviously to do with the fact that you had Anthony Brown as your quarterback because Huntley went down with a concussion. So that does play a factor. But realistically, if you look at the running backs for the Baltimore Ravens, they've got a really good schedule. They've got the Browns, Falcons, and Steelers. They all are struggling against the run. And right now, Dobbins, 31% available. That's quite a bit for someone who is obviously the starting running back. And Lamar being out does affect them, meaning I think in a good way. They're going to run the ball a lot. I don't care what the defense does. You've got him. They're still going to sprinkle in Gus Edwards and maybe Kenyon Drake, but I like J.K. Dobbins a lot. Now, another running back I want to mention, and I have not given a lot of credit to, is Zonovan Knight. Look, man, I should have mentioned him before, and I was kind of hesitant because Carter was supposed to come back. And even with Carter back, that didn't matter. Zonovan Knight looked really good. They're going against the Lions this upcoming week. He's available in 45% of most leagues. And again, Carter, I thought was like, well, Michael Carter has been one of those guys that's been able to take some shares away, but that's not the case at all. Zonovan established himself really as a really solid running back 2, I would say, in fantasy at this point, especially in the last 3 weeks. He's rushed 70 plus yards in the last 3 weeks as well. And they've got a nice little playoff schedule. You've got the Lions, the Jaguars, the Seahawks. So again, schedule-wise, the Jets have a really good, I would say, playoff schedule. So I like Zonovan Knight as somebody you may want to consider picking up. Even though Michael Carter's back, I still don't think that matters at this point. Now, as far as receivers, I've got 3 receivers here. We've got Chris Moore versus the Chiefs. He's available in 98% of most leagues. Now, a lot of what I mentioned Chris Moore is going to be dependent on what happens with Nico Collins and, of course, Brandon Cooks. They both have been injured. They both have been out. So Chris Moore ended up being the wide receiver 1, and he tore up the Cowboys in the secondary. He had 10 receptions, 124 yards. He looked really good. He essentially is the wide receiver 1 for the Texans. With that said, if Nico and Brandon are out, the playoff schedule actually looks pretty good. Going against the Chiefs, Titans, and Jaguars, they give up a lot against the pass, and the Texans will be playing behind no matter what at this point. So there's going to be a lot of targets his way. So I like Chris Moore as a nice little flex play or sneaky wide receiver 2, again, depending on what your roster looks like. DJ Chark has not gotten any love. He's another receiver I like this upcoming playoffs. Look, he's going against the Jets. Tough matchup, I understand, but he's available in 60% of most leagues. Chark is the clear-cut wide receiver 2 and a very high-powered Lions offense. And on top of that, Chark went off against this past weekend, even with Amon-Ra being there and not doing as much as you thought he would. Chark had 6 receptions, 94 yards, and a touchdown. The week before, he had 98 receiving yards as well. As long as this offense continues to pass the way it does, Chark is going to be a very high-end flex, maybe a low running back or a low wide receiver 2. So again, he's somebody I'm considering picking up. I've grabbed him in a few of my leagues. A nice little playoff schedule. Now, the last receiver is Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's going against the Ravens. He's available in 42% of most leagues. There's just absolutely no respect for DPJ. He's been wide receiver 15 in the last 4 weeks. Wide receiver 15, that's a solid play. And that's with, obviously, the quarterback change going from Brissett to Watson. He's been better than receivers like Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, Deebo Samuel, T. Higgins, but he's still available. Everyone's thinking about the name. You've got to look at the matchups. You got to look what he's been able to do. And yet, again, he's still on waivers. Plus, Watson's starting to get some of that rust off of him. It might take another game or so, but I like him as a nice little wide receiver 2 coming up for the rest of the season. Now, as far as tight ends go, there's a couple different tight ends I want to mention. You got Chigo. I don't even want to try to ruin his name, but Chigo is going to be available in 86% of most leagues for the Titans. He's seen 11 targets his way in the last 2 weeks. He's becoming a nice little sleeper. Now, I'm not jumping fully on the bandwagon. You still have Austin Hooper, who is actually doing still pretty well. He just had 11 points this past weekend as well. But he's a nice little sleeper. If you've got a deep league or if you've got obviously struggling at the tight end position, he's definitely somebody that you may want to consider grabbing because he's probably most likely available. And the Titans are going to have to play some catch up, right? You got the Chargers coming up this weekend. So I like him as a nice little sleeper tight end to grab. Cole Kmet's still available. I'm surprised at this. He's available in 32% of most leagues. They do have the Eagles coming up, so they're going to have to play behind, unfortunately. Kmet is still out there, and he's been tight end 7 in the last 4 weeks. And that was with a bye. Just imagine had he played, he'd probably be one of the top 2 just because of that connection between him and Fields. Now, obviously, depending on how Fields plays, obviously Kmet is the same way. But the wide receivers are depleted in this offense. So Kmet has really become one of the most consistent targets for Justin Fields. And I see that continuing the rest of the playoffs. So I like him as a nice little pickup. You should be grabbing him. Now, the last guy I want to mention, Evan Engram. What the heck just happened? Now, he's going against the Cowboys. Cowboys can be iffy, right? Their defense has been really good, but then they just let the Texans look really good. He's available in 44% of most leagues. Now, I wasn't able to obviously put up my tight end video, which I apologize to everybody. I did put a little community post out there to kind of get you guys updated. I had him as a good start in this possible weekend. I did not expect him to put up 39 fantasy points. I had him doing well, but 39 points, which is phenomenal. He had 11 receptions, 162 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Is he going to do that again? No. But Evan Ingram's always been a very talented tight end. He's just been so inconsistent, whether it be drops or just disappearing in general. He's just not getting open. I thought I had him as a top 5 tight end going into the season just because of this offense. You got a Doug Peterson offense who loves the tight end position. And realistically, the talent was there. Is he going to finish that way? No. But I do like the rest of his playoff season. I do think this is going to be a nice little pickup. You should be grabbing him. I've had him in a few of my leagues. I didn't start him this past weekend. I wish I had, but I did have him in a few of my leagues just because I like what is going to happen with the future. But again, 44%, you should be grabbing him. So those are my must adds for week 15. If you guys have other players you think I should have mentioned in this video or you guys like a lot, hit us up in the comments down below. If you guys have questions of who you should be picking up or dropping, again, this is the playoff time. You should not be stashing players. You should be picking the right players based off the schedule, handcuffing some of your players as well to make sure you're ready for the playoffs. Again, if you have questions, hit us in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and that notification bell is on. That way you guys are notified every time we drop a video just like this. And of course, our start and sit videos will be dropping those as well to get you guys ready for the first round of the playoffs. All right, make sure you guys check those out. If you guys did enjoy the content, make sure you hit the like button. It's greatly appreciated. And I'll check you guys out next time.